All right, so here's the continuation of the rebuild of the RYOBI chainsaw. So in the previous portion of the video, you saw me attempting to take out the engine bolts. So there's 4 socket head cap screws that hold the cylinder head to the engine base plate, if you will. And just my luck, I ended up shearing off the 4 bolts, but I still managed to get the cylinder off. But as you can see, if you zoom in, you'll see the stumps of the bolts are still stuck in the cylinder. So not a great position to be in, but it's not really the end of the world, or it's not that we have to junk this piece. So this video will be how I am going to attempt to remove these bolts. So what I would recommend, or at least how I'm going to do it, you may have a different approach, is I'm just going to take the cylinder and I'm going to put it in my vise, and I'm going to make sure that I don't clamp it to a surface that will have another item or another component next to it. So I'm going to make sure to take care not to damage this surface and this surface, but rather clamp on this surface and this surface. So I'll put this into the vise and clamp it down. Just going to get it as straight and parallel into the vise as possible to make it easier to work. So I have sprayed some penetrating oil into this to, perhaps help loosen these studs out. So the first approach I'm going to use to remove these, I'm just going to use my propane torch. And I'm going to heat up the stud with the torch, and then I'm going to use my vice grip to try to remove the bolt. So again, be careful when using an open flame. Make sure that there's no, use caution, or be attentive to this type of work. So what I want to do now is just heat up the bolt, and mainly I want to just heat up the bolt. So I don't know if you can see in the video, I want the blue tip of the flame to be making contact to the metal stud here, and I'm just going to apply some heat to that. Okay, I'll put the torch up here. I'll grab my vice grips, get a really good clamp on that, and then I'm going to just carefully wiggle this bolt back and forth. As you can see, it's turning. So I'll just continue like this. Until I get the stud, or the leftover bolt out. Don't touch it with your hands because it will be hot. Oh. And because this bolt is hot, I'm just going to drop it on the cement floor just so nothing gets damaged on my work table. All right, so we're going to continue this process with the second broken bolt. So I'm just going to come in again, heat the bolt, get the blue tip of the flame right up to the bolt. Get some heat on there. The gasket is burning, but that's no problem because I'm going to put new sealant on that surface anyway. Okay, so repeat again, get the vice grips on the bolt, and then just carefully kind of work the bolt loose. I think we're going to get this one. Just keep working at this. It's important to get a really good grip with your vice grips so that you don't do more damage to the leftover bolt. We got that one out. So that's how we successfully remove these broken bolts out of the head. I'm going to show you another way to do it. So I'll take a few minutes to prepare my tools for that, and we'll come right back and we'll attempt to take these two bolts out. All right, so the next way we're going to remove these studs is I'm going to use my MIG welder, and I'm going to weld a nut to the leftover bolt. Once the nut is welded to the bolt, I'm then going to take my socket and ratchet with the right size, and I'm going to hopefully extract the bolt that way. So what I have here is I have a nut in place just to act as a spacer, and then I'm going to apply the nut here that I'm going to weld. So I'll turn my welder on, and let's get this welded in. Don't look. Just work the stud out slowly, and remember that the bolt and the nut itself are going to be hot, so be careful not to touch it with your hands until it cools off. So I'll use a pair of pliers to take the rest out. So normally when I do this, I usually don't get the stud out the first try, but I guess it can happen. So I guess what I'd like, just for everyone's knowledge, is that you may have to repeat this process multiple times before you can get the bolt out completely. So we're going to repeat this process on this bolt here. So just to recap, we have one nut on there just acting as a spacer, and then here's the nut that I'm actually going to weld to the stud. So how I approach the welding is that I aim for the center of the bolt, and then I work around, or I start working around the outer part of the bolt, so that I'm fusing the nut to the weld area, because you're going to be transferring the torque of your tool, your ratchet, to the stud. So you need to try to get as much weld penetration into the nut connected to the bolt. So let's see if I can do this again. And then again, just go carefully. The heat of the welder also kind of generates the same effect that we did with the propane torch. And there you have it. There's the part of the bolt removed from the cylinder. Here's a close-up view of what I mean. So here's the leftover bolt, and here's the nut that we used to unscrew the bolt, and this is the weld. So I'll throw that on the ground because it's still hot. All right, so I guess for now this concludes this portion of the video. Thanks for joining. This job is taking a couple of twists and turns, but I think ultimately it's providing a good opportunity to see how to get through obstacles as you do it yourself. You do your own engine or mechanical work yourself. So good luck in your projects. I certainly, this tip should be applicable to other parts or other types of garage work. So hopefully you get the same kind of success as I did today. Thanks again.